Hello and welcome to the Walt Weekly. This is Walter Latham, and I'm here today by a returning guest, one of my sheroes, Miss Deborah Phillips. Hello, Miss Phillips. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you today?
Not bad, not bad. I'm glad you came on today because we need you to try to address some of these issues surrounding homelessness. The Trump administration took an approach towards homelessness wherein they're basically criminalizing homelessness. All right? What they want to do is just get rid of these people, get them off the street, and just basically criminalize. And when I say criminalize, I mean they're not taking them to a rehab center or rehabilitation. They want them to get their mental health checks, and they want them to get treatment. All right, so if I'm wrong there, and that's why we have Miss Phillips on, because Miss Phillips on today is that she's the CEO of Block Love Charlotte, and they're charged with, I'll let you tell me, what do y'all guys do at Block Love Charlotte?
So with Block Love Charlotte, we serve every single day in the homeless and houses community in a number of capacities, from doing street outreach to operating what is called a day service center, where those that are experiencing homelessness have somewhere to come in. They can utilize our computers. They can use our address as an address to put on applications to receive mail. We have locker space. We help with housing navigation. We do a lot of service connection and bridging the gaps when it comes to receiving services. We work with a number of agencies, including those that can provide mental health and wellness checkups, maternal health programs with different agencies. We're also able to provide a food pantry, which operates daily, and then we do free groceries second and fourth Saturday for the larger community. I'm trying to think of what else we do.
Yeah, but I know, the people know it, and I'm going to put a link to our previous, the time you were on in the past. I think there's less than it was last year. Yeah. Sometime in 24, you came on, and you told us about the good works that you're doing. All right. So, the reason I wanted you back is to give us an update on these changes that Trump is trying to implement. As I said earlier, he's trying to criminalize being homeless. What is he going to do? Send the homeless to Alligator Alcatraz? I mean, if he sweeps these people off the street, what is he going to do with them? And what are you seeing at street level now? Because you're in the midst of it.
So my biggest problem with all of this is it amazes me how people that have never been homeless are able to make legislation, laws, criminalize those that are homeless because they've never been in this situation. They can't empathize or sympathize with it. And a lot of times when people don't understand something and they try to regulate it, they end up misstepping. And that is what is going to happen in this situation, because now we're making a lot of assumptions based off of this new bill that those that are homeless, the majority of them have mental health issues.
Yeah, and that's that big, beautiful bill, right?
Yeah.
That's
and that is nothing beautiful about that. Because now we're talking about committing individuals. And, it's one thing if someone voluntarily commits for mental health reasons. But when we're talking about trying to clean people up off the streets, take their tents up, you're adding that piece of trauma. And then now you're saying we're going to involuntarily commit you, and that's not fair. And it's also putting a strain on a mental health system that is already struggling. So in turn, why would you even consider that? And the thing that he threw out in the air was they're going to throw money toward mental health. We got to make sure we have good mental health agencies that are able to handle the trauma that a lot of our neighbors at our houses are experiencing if we go that route. Because this is now more than just criminalizing. Now you're going to stigmatize a already marginalized community. Like, you're going to attack them and begin profiling them, plucking them up off the street. He basically said it was an eyesore in front of the Capitol, and he wanted those tents and stuff removed. I get it, but that is not the way to address it.
Where'd you going to put them?
Yeah, well, that is when he's saying, we're going to involuntarily commit them to where? What mental health systems aren't already at capacity? when it comes to making sure they have the right providers. We don't need providers overworked. We need to make sure that people don't just get the services once or twice. This is something that will require lifelong services when it comes to mental health. And like I said, it's already a mental health system that is strained. So throwing money at it isn't going to make it any better. But two, it's already beginning under the assumption that those that are homeless have mental health issues.
But the thing is that, we've been down this road before in the past. Many times we've been down this road. It's just that the capacity on the treatment side is so narrow. It's not, they can't handle the people out there. All right? That's the problem. Okay? And with Trump saying he wants to, get rid of the homeless, move them off the street because they're eyesore, quality of life issue, blah, 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 blah. But disproportionately, minorities are represented in homelessness. Also, I think a key thing, too, that I think may cause a pushback is the amount of veterans that are homeless. All right? So he's going to sweep all the veterans in there, too, after they serve their country, and a lot of them are, got PTSD and things of that nature. What are you seeing? What type of feedback are you getting from the people that you're facing off to?
So we talk about the big, beautiful bill, but we have to understand that there was also some legislation that came down from the Supreme Court where local municipalities can make rules when it comes to encampment. They can make their own laws when it comes to what an encampment exists of. It can also regulate if people are sleeping in parks. They can now be charged with a misdemeanor if they're caught defecating or urinating. Even gathering in public. So we're already seeing that pushback well before the big, beautiful bill here in Charlotte, because Charlotte has decided that now you can receive a ticket if you're caught urinating, defecating, sleeping out in a park, sleeping in a bench, or if you've created this encampment. But that goes along with this new bill, because that bill says, listen, we can target these encampments if there's any type of disruption in these encampments. These are the ones that you want to start plucking up and causing individuals to be committed. Once again, this is totally unfair. And if you've never been in this situation, you won't understand it. You will sit under the assumption, especially for those with money, the rich, those that are building around these different homeless and houseless encampments, that consider it an eyesore. Especially when it comes to communities like where my location sits.
Right.
We're in a community that was a black community growing up. It was a community that had affordable housing at the time, but now it's being gentrified. And I don't always like bringing gentrification into it, but when you're talking about a population that is already struggling, and we had a large houseless population within this area, now they're being pushed out in so many different ways. And it is the builders that are coming in that are pushing them out. They're saying, we're not putting our buildings up, our high rises, our tenant spaces up until you all do something about this homeless or houseless problem. For us, we actually, I served in uptown Charlotte every single day. I served a meal, sometimes 3 times a day. I myself was pushed out by what is called city center partners, as well as those that are the powers that be here in the city of Charlotte, North Carolina, where it became a problem. And they tried to lay all of these issues from, there's drugs and prostitution. That existed well before I ever came down there to serve. It's a danger. We've never had a dangerous issue that actually involved us. There were some times that things went on and occurred, but it was not because of something my staff or my volunteers incited. It just happened to be wrong place, wrong time. Then it was, there's rats in uptowns. We have never or never will serve around rats. We've never had a rat infestation, a rat problem when we serve. All of a sudden it became a problem. Where's the food being disposed of? We've always cleaned up. Like I tell people, I'm not ashamed. My husband works for the City of Charlotte Sanitation Department. We've always cleaned up our stuff. That's how we actually met. But we've always made sure our areas was clean. We have a large social media following. We let other organizations know if you're going uptown, make sure you clean up after yourself. Police your area. Make sure you're keeping the area clean. But when you giving local municipalities that type of power, it can be used and abused. You know,
Oh, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
then it creates, when you talk about criminalizing it, you don't understand what that does to a homeless or houseless neighbor. You give them one misdemeanor, and especially a new misdemeanor, and then they apply for a unit in North Carolina, they're going to be immediately denied once that background check is run. And it could be something as simple as, hey, I hopped the transit. Or, hey, I had nowhere to pee in the middle of the night, and I got caught peeing on the side of a building. Like, why give somebody a misdemeanor for that? And then now they're being denied housing. And now you can add them to your number of those that you consider chronic homeless because, hey, they can't get into housing because now they've got this background. So it's all a numbers game, and it's a money game. And the powers that be don't understand it and can't relate to it. Like, they just cannot. We've had a city council person that is now left that was adamant literally about attacking our houseless neighbors. Now he's with the Trump administration and his wife wants to run in his place, but she holds his same views, from not wanting our houseless neighbors to sleep in the airport. Where is there safe to sleep in this city? You can't sleep in the train.
As you know, New York has that problem. But
every
ours
big
is
city
more
does.
focused on it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, New York is going back and forth with the homeless in the subways. They're going to do this, they're going to do that. But, they don't finish the process. I think everything has a process, all right? Mm-hmm. You take them in, and at the back end, you take them out. So you go through this process, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't see, they're going through the process, but the people are coming out the other end about the same as they went in. So it becomes a vicious, circle.
But cycle. What we do see that works is we see transitional housing works. We see that non-congregate shelters work, meaning that people aren't just in bunks in one large room. They've got their separate space so they can deal with their own issues by themselves. They're not feeling like they're institutionalized or imprisoned. They feel more comfortable in an uncongregated shelter. We also see now there's a need for more family sheltering. There's been a need for more families. Why split up families just because there's a husband and a wife, or there may be two individuals raising children together, though not married, they're still a family unit, because if you put it in HUD, it's still a family unit. But it's not a family unit when it comes to housing. Build more shelters. Make sure that we have adequate enough amount of shelters all throughout this nation. We can't sit up here and look and say, hey, we got over 5,000 homeless people here in the city of Charlotte. Our numbers are so skewed because if we got 5,200 kids in CMS, which is our Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system, that are homeless, and then you say you've got 5,000 adults and families homeless, them numbers, so we're looking at almost 8,000 to 10,000 individuals that are homeless in this city of 1 million. Where do they go? And we are lacking affordable housing units. So somebody made a post recently, I think, to the Roof Above system saying you got to make $35 an hour just to afford a one-bedroom apartment here in Charlotte. Who is paying $35 an hour? I can't even pay myself that amount. Who is doing that? I tell people I work in the homeless houseless sector every single day, and I can't afford to live in Charlotte. I struggle every day just to make sure my rent is paid.
That's amazing. It's
ridiculous.
But Charlotte is not the only place that it's like that. New York is like
Raleigh.
They're priced out.
Yeah, it's, oh gosh. That's why we have this issue we talk about in Oakland and different places like that. People cannot afford to live. And the living wages, that is a term that it sounded good back in the early 2000s, but we still haven't gotten to a point where people are making living wages. We have not caught up to that.
You know what I'm thinking, Deborah? And maybe I'm breaching, but this seems like a little conspiracy. I mean, if you look at it, you look what Netanyahu is doing in Gaza, getting rid of these people so they can move in. I can see that getting rid of these homeless people and raising the prices is for white folks to come in, the well-to-do.
Because they're not just getting rid of homeless, they're getting rid of poor black folks.
That's what I'm saying.
Poor black and brown folks. Because we got to think about our Latino brothers and sisters that are being pushed as well. We're not even going to talk about ICE. It is literally a plot and a plan. Because I was telling folks just recently here, we in Charlotte, we had an option for new single-family home builders. Uh-huh. If you built single-family homes, you had to agree to make a portion of those homes affordable housing. I can't remember the percent, but I'll say about 10%, 10 to 20% of the homes that you built in single-family home communities needed to be set aside for affordable housing, right?
Okay.
Well, guess what? Guess what home builders are doing now? Everybody's building townhomes. Everybody is building multifamily units. And guess what? That multifamily unit was never part of the agreement for affordable housing. So now we're seeing all these apartments popping up everywhere, townhomes.
Yeah, the condos and all that kind of.
Yes. Yeah. And none of those are required to be affordable housing. And so it makes it almost impossible to live in this city. They want us on the outskirts. They want, it breaks my heart when I know. In fact, I had a staff member that no longer works with me. He had to buy property an hour away just to be able to afford it. But we're seeing more of that. I'm not leaving the city of Charlotte. I don't know where I'm going to live if I got to live outside in my trailer. I'm not living. I serve in the city of Charlotte. I should be able to live here. But
you should be able to live there.
All over the country. And this push and focus, especially always during an election year, we're going to look at homelessness being a platform. Everybody wants to ride this train because, one, there's this funding. I've had several ministers reach out to me and say the Trump administration's got this new funding now where they want to work with organizations that are leading the charge when it comes to our houses and homeless neighbors. So much so that these pastors, ministers, and preachers are asking me for my data and they want me to take a charge. I wish a Nickelodeon would. I'm not giving you my data.
That's a good one.
I work hard for this.
I understood.
And you will not prostitute and use my houseless friends and family, because we call them family here.
Yes.
You know, at appropriate times I may call them client, but they're my family. You're not going to use that data, misuse that data so that you can line your pockets. It's not going to happen. But it's like we had these secret meetings. And when I've had 4 or 5 big pastors, ministers, bishops, and stuff reach out to me, so now y'all want to ride the train of the adversary.
Oh, yeah.
Because it looks good, because now he's not coming for you for not reporting your taxes. See, that's not a game that I'm about to play. Because we got to do our part here to protect our neighbors. I have to raise my voice every opportunity that I get, because a lot of times they may not be as informed, but that is also too a myth. Our neighbors are well informed. They can tell you about this bill in every single line about how it is going to affect them. And so what we see is nervousness. We see our neighbors nervous and saying, how can I protect my camp? Because my encampment has everything. Everything I own is there. Whether it's my ID, whether it is my clothing, my art, which may be my bread and butter. I've got tattoo artists out here. I've got barbers out here. I have folks that have their urns or different things from memorabilia from a loved one. I've got someone that's got their flag from their father's funeral. If you pluck up their encampment and throw all that stuff away and involuntarily commit me, we're going to have a fight.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean,
you're going to have a fight on your hand.
Yes.
It's hard enough when I see some of them have a mental health breakdown and I got to call in somebody to assist with a mental health breakdown to even get them to trust enough to open up and say what it is. But I'm not going to trust you if you feel like this is a number that's going to run you up, whether it's Medicaid or whatever, however you build it so that you can once again line your pockets. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to be.
It's all about lining pockets, though. You know that. I mean, Trump administration, they're just stealing. They're taking money from the poor and they're giving it to the rich. So we all know that. I think that's an oversimplification, but it's in line. What you're telling me is in line with that. They're trying to displace the homeless and bring in people of means. All right, and those people of means are usually non-minority. You know what I'm saying?
I tell people, what are y'all going to do? Start building asylums and not shelter? Because where all these folks go? We're going to go back to the old school system of asylum?
I think it's going to be something similar to Alligator Alcatraz.
We're going to add like we have, right, the Bell Havens and all this.
Yeah, Alligator Alcatraz. That's what they're going to do. They're going to put them into
We're
like
still trying to get Rikers Island closed, and here you are. You want to build asylums?
Yeah.
See, let's not forget we still got issues there at Rikers.
Oh, absolutely.
And you want to now you want to involuntarily commit folks that don't deserve it. Like you said, veterans that just have PTSD and are just trying to get through a day. They may not want to go into housing because it's hard enough to be alone. And you put me in four walls. It's not fair. I was telling everybody, Ghetto Boy said, I sit alone in a 4-corner room staring at candles. Come on here. That's what PTSD is. You start, your imagination and everything starts playing with you. You got people that have schizophrenia. You have people that are bipolar. You have people that don't take their meds. You have people that do take their meds and still struggle. But that's not a Band-Aid fix, because everybody's story is different and you got to treat it as such. But there's no way in the world that this administration can afford to pay a mental health system to do all of that, or anybody in social services. One, we're not producing enough social workers at the rate that we would need to go by.
One time we had too many, actually. Now we don't have enough.
Now we're stretched.
That's amazing.
Because the need, look at how much trauma. We're coming out of a world pandemic. Imagine what everybody's been through. Suicide rates are at its highest, especially among black males. And you want to go in camps and bother folks. Everybody in the encampment ain't crazy. Everybody in the encampment hasn't lost their mind. Everybody in encampment is not on mental health medication. I had a brother in here, the news just sat and did an interview with him in here, and he said, I wish people would stop thinking we crazy. He was like, I just got scammed, lost my money, and I had to leave my unit. But nowhere in the world I would want me and my wife out here on the streets. Right. Who wants to be out there on the streets? And we're in the middle of torrential rains right now. Folks coming here soaking wet for the past week or two, because we have nothing but rains here in North Carolina.
Wow.
Tents being swept away, losing all their material things. You think somebody want to keep going through that? And then you can tell me whether I've got a mental health problem. Well, you must be crazy because you're sleeping out here in a tent. No, you're crazy because you believe somebody in office just because you voted him in. He's not for you or me.
Oh, no, definitely not. You know, a lot of people got fooled, and they continue to be fooled. If it was possible to look at Trump as the Pied Piper, he's the Pied Piper because they're all going over the cliff. That's the way I see that. And the way they treat people, it's all about, as you said, all about the money. And I'm concerned, with the displacement of people. The homeless. I mean, this show is about homeless people, what's being done. But there's a greater thing here, which fits into the Trump paradigm shift. I'll call it TPS, okay, for lack of a better acronym or mnemonic or whatever. So what he's doing is that he's doing the same thing that white people have done in the past, displacing people, kicking people out, making it very hard for people to live if you are a minority. I think it transcends race. It comes down to a matter of have and have-nots. That's what it is. It's the haves and have-nots. All right? And these are the most vulnerable, marginalized group of the homeless. I mean, nobody wants to be homeless. I was homeless one time when I was a teenager, but fortunately I had a job. I used to go to the Trailway bus station in Manhattan at Port Authority. I used to sleep in the waiting room, okay, and wash up in the seat, take a bird bath, and then go to work, and then come back in the evening. On the weekend, I got a hotel room, but I was working. Okay, that's the only difference. And these people are not even working. So when you don't have a job, no income, nothing, it's just horrible. I mean,
and that's the thing, because we serve a lot of individuals. I'm looking out in my building right now that go to work daily. Can you imagine working all day long? And some of these guys and women do back-breaking work, or they're on their feet all day long. You've worked all day long. You got to go back to this little tiny 2-3 man tent. Mm-hmm. Stretch out on the ground, or if you got your tent on pallets, either way, it's hard. You got to make sure nobody disturbs you in the middle of the night, so it's really hard to sleep. You got to make sure don't nobody come in, because a tent, We've had tents sliced open, cut open. We've had raccoons terrorize folks in the middle of the night. We had rats terrorize folks in the middle of the night. Then you got to get up the next morning and start that process all over again. But you want somebody to come and pluck you up, throw all your stuff away, and commit you, and you got to tell people I'm not crazy. There's nothing wrong with me. I just need you all to help me get into housing.
Yeah.
Help me find
just a
my
little
way.
break.
Help me land on my feet. Because right now you're going to turn my world upside down, and then definitely going to stigmatize me because you're going to put that role of insanity on me, and I'm not insane. Don't take your measure of what you think homelessness should look like and apply that to my situation. Because I was homeless during the pandemic. You wouldn't know me and my family were homeless during the pandemic. For 2 months, we were homeless. See, people don't know that, but I was serving every single day during the pandemic. Everything, just trying to buy a house. Just trying to buy a house. Found ourselves homeless. I was homeless when I was going through a divorce and separation. Couch surfing, motels, doing wherever we can. One night, my son and the dog had to sleep in the van. Because I couldn't take him to the shelter because there's different rules behind the shelter. The dog couldn't come. My son was too old to be there with me. I wasn't going to separate from them. Hell, my dog saved my life. Then, I was homeless in college, sleeping in my car outside the dorm.
Yeah.
See, people don't understand and know. Or when me and my mother were fleeing domestic violence from my dad, we were homeless. But people see you functioning and operating as we should. And, people want to point out homelessness, but there's people in homes with addiction. People say, oh, homeless shouldn't be drinking or whatever. Who came and slapped the beer out your hand?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, come on.
That's stigmatizing somebody homeless. You can, it's CEOs and people running these top companies that do cocaine and snorting.
They're drug addicts. I mean, come on. Yeah.
Right. Beating their wives and everything else.
Yeah.
Sleeping around. We just seen one sleeping around at a concert. But you stand up here, you want to judge the homeless because they're an easy target. You want to call out their sins.
They can't fight back that long. Yeah, that's
you want to call out their sins, but you don't want to address your sins.
Yeah.
Until it come out in the news, then you got enough money to pay it off. Well, see, these folks can't even sign themselves out of jail or pay for a bond just because they had to go somewhere to pee. So now I got to spend a week in jail until I can sign myself out just because I had nowhere to pee in the middle of the night. And we don't have public restrooms up here in uptown Charlotte, which to most people is a downtown, but for some reason our uppity behinds in Charlotte, which lets us know we ain't supposed to be in here, is an uptown. Oh, it's very, it's very exclusive.
Yeah, I worked down there for 18 months, and I had to get my head around uptown.
We ain't supposed to be in uptown. They done took away the Bojangles. They moved it to the outskirts, so you ain't got nowhere affordable you can eat. Yeah, no. They about to move to McDonald's. They moving to transit, so it's not gonna be a Burger King. So where poor folks supposed to eat at, or what are we supposed to do if we ride? I rode the bus. If I ride the bus again? Where am I supposed to eat at when I get off the bus? I'm not paying $25 for lunch.
Yeah, they're intentionally pushing y'all guys out.
Yeah,
I can conclude as much. Yeah, you had mentioned something about black men have to be really careful.
Because they're already stigmatized. You have to think about it. When we're talking about black males, people, they want to either emasculate them, dehumanize them. They act like black men aren't supposed to showcase their feelings or talk about their feelings. Mental health is still taboo in the black male community. Right. But there's so many assumptions, that they're anger, they're enraged. I had a young man come in recently, and he was having a hard time finding a job. And we laugh about it now, but I told him, I said, you came in with that DMX energy with me. And I said, I hope that's not how you're going to your interviews. And he said, well, it's the region I'm from. And he's from up north. And he talks with his hands. And he's a little, little aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
I said, well, listen. I said, I don't want you to soften because, you're a man. I don't want you, there's nothing soft about you. I said, but what I would like for you to do is, I said, I want you to be a little bit more graceful with your conversation. Pull it back just a little bit and let's see what happens. Do you know the next day that joker came in here excited because he got the job? He said, I didn't realize I was coming off forceful. But trust me, when black men show up in spaces and places like that, people automatically assume they're angry or they're holding a grudge, or they got a chip on their shoulder. This man now he comes in smiling and everything. He's totally different. But if we're not having these conversations, men show up in the rooms, and I got men now fearful to go get their Social Security card. You want to know why? They say, I show up in the way they already talk to me. Well, get over here. Well, do this. No, they're being talked at instead of talked to. And that's nerve-wracking, especially when you know I'm poor, I'm struggling, I don't want them to see that I'm homeless. It's not fair society. It's not a fair world. But if we educate people, if we have these open forums and conversations to say, listen, let's do better about how we treat our black men. Let's show up for them. Let's definitely take their feelings into consideration and stop, compartmentalizing, how we think they should feel. You can't control somebody's feelings or emotion. I tell people, stop trying to be God. Stop trying to control how you think somebody should feel. You don't know what this man has experienced. We have men out here that are homeless because their caregiver died, and they may have cognitive disorders, so it's hard for them to understand, so they can't fill out applications, and they're too scared to tell somebody, hey, I'm not doing these job applications because I can't read them. But we got to stop judging them, and so some of them will front with anger instead of vocalizing and saying. So we got to give them safe spaces like we give here at the Day Service Center. It is a safe space. If you need help with this application or your resume, let's sit down, let's talk about it. Let's have these open forums and conversations, because you got to make these spaces available. But you have to support black men where they're at in order for them to get to where they need to be.
Absolutely.
And I don't care what age they are. They come in here all ages. I'm not going to sit up here and coddle you, but I'm also not going to browbeat you. We're going to meet in the middle, and we're going to get something done. And I'm going to celebrate every last one of your wins. I don't care if it's a day sobriety or if it's a week that you stayed on your new job. Whatever it is, we have to give affirmations and allow black men to know it is okay. Homelessness is a situation that is temporary. It does not permanently define who you are or where you are.
That's correct. That's correct. As I said, I've been homeless. A lot of people have suffered homelessness. Maybe it's overnight or a week or 2 weeks. But you overcome. You just need a little break. You need a hand. If anybody tells you that they don't depend on people to give them a hand throughout their life, they're lying.
They're lying.
They're lying. There's always people that give you a hand. There's somebody, all right? I've had it. You've had it. And that's what we need, someone to give a hand, not
from a job referral to
soup,
free
old soup.
And got groceries from somewhere. Somebody gave you advice. That is a hand. And people need to look at that and stop saying, you're enabling folks, when I'm helping my homeless. I say, you got that right. I'm enabling them to see that they can be better than where they are, that they can come up out of this thing. That's what I'm going to enable. I'm going to enable and empower you to know that you are not your situation. You are unhoused for the time being, but we're going to get to where we need to be if we just stay the course. That's what I'm enabling people to do. I tell people all the time, we're going to always open doors for our neighbors because someone opened doors for us. But you got to reciprocate that, and you've got to know and understand your time is coming up because you never know. You never know.
That's right. You never know.
Take you up out of here or make you homeless. You never know.
That's absolutely. You never know. It could be a medical bill. Mm-hmm. Then your credit get messed up. Then you can't rent a place. You can't buy a house. You can't do this. You can't do that.
That's it.
Okay? It happens. People fail to realize that, and I tell my kids all the time when they were growing up, it's going to rain one day. Just be aware of that. It's going to rain. It's not going to be sunny all the time. It's going to rain. And when it rains, you have to be prepared.
That's it.
That's it. All right? So anyway, Deborah Denise Phillips, you are my hero. You're still doing a fantastic job down there. You're making a difference. We need that.
Thanks.
All right. So anyway, could you give me, if people want to reach out, make a contribution, I'm going to have it down in the links, but maybe you want to just give me a couple of links that they can go to if they want to help.
First and foremost, thank you for having me on. Secondly, thank you to everybody that supports this work. It is not an easy work. We are at this thing every single day in some type of capacity. So it takes people supporting this mission. And with funding being cut across the board for a lot of us agencies, big or small, and it does hit the smaller ones a lot harder. We need the support continuously from, people say, hey, $5, that's all I have. $5 now can buy 2 cases of waters. So we don't turn anything down. We take everything that we can get. You can support us by going to blockloveclt.org. There's a donate now button. There's also a link to our Amazon wish list. You can also reach out to us through PayPal at team@blockloveclt.org, at Venmo, block_love_Charlotte. We do still utilize Cash App, not as often, but if you want to make that payment, it is $blockloveclt. And listen, everything goes back to the streets. Everything goes back to those that we serve. We do everything. I tell people you don't have to be homeless. You just got to be hungry. That, is something that we came up with one of our team members, No Limit Larry. So we're always letting people know and encouraging them. We do more than just supporting our homeless. We support the community at large, from school drives, which we're having one this weekend. We're doing an event called Teach Me How to Fish on Sunday, where we're teaching kids how to fish, how to do small car repairs, how to tie a tie, how to show up for an interview. We've got Thanksgiving coming up. We have our pantry that runs every single day. We do our Christmas, where we serve over 750 kids, sometimes up to 800. And that's just in one event, because we host 5 different Christmas events. So we're always in need of that support. And right now, our funds are drastically low, but the doors are still open. And in order to remain open, we can use your support. So hit us up at blockloveclt.org. You can also email us. Just tell us how you're interested in supporting us, and we'll reach back out. And thank you, Walt, for having me back.
It's an honor to have you back. You know that. All right. People, you heard that. And, hey, please follow, like, subscribe.